Hey, what's up? It's Comic 95 this Savior, and please excuse everything. As always, this is my Rand's Japanese journal. I'm going to talk to you freely about what's going on in my life. So, yeah. First things first, obviously, I'm not wearing makeup. Hair's not done. I just got through washing and straightening my hair. I have coconut oil and I forgot what they call it, Chi Infra, whatever, straightening serum, whatever you call it, like heat protector. So yeah. Anyway, between that and the fact that I know my background is kind of messy, I'm actually in the process of moving my furniture around. I actually decided that I save more space if I put my bed over here and I have my couch and my TV over here. Plus, it makes it easier for me to record because I don't have to worry about it being too messy in the background. So I have like my coat rack there, which I need to hang my jackets. But that's another story. I'm actually trying to let me lower my voice. It's late at night. I'm actually trying to cut back on a lot of my clothes and stuff too. So yeah, also excuse my skin. There's a lot of breaking out going on because if you watched my Instagram this past week, which you're not going to see this video for a while, I've been wearing my hair natural and my skin does not respond well to oils such as coconut oil. It makes me break out if it gets on my face, as you can see what's going on right now. But anyway, let's get to it. So, I'm probably going to share a picture on my Instagram first instead of just plugging into this video, mainly because I'm lazy, and secondly, because I want you to go follow me, please. Please follow me at Comic95, my Instagram and Twitter account. My links are in the description. But anyway, yeah, so I've been living in my apartment for almost a year now, and by the time you see this video, it'll be really close to having been a full year. And one of the things that's always bothered me about being in Japan, especially this situation, is always having to take the blame for everything. So let's backtrack a little bit. Since I've been here, whenever I go to check my mailbox, every once in a while, I used to notice that there would be some random sales papers on the floor. And I figured that it was just a fluke. Maybe, somebody opened up their mailbox and it fell and they were being lazy, like, I'm not going to pick them up, and didn't care. But I didn't really notice it consistently because I was spending all of my time at my boyfriend's place. I was hardly ever at this apartment, so I didn't really check my mail that often, so only every once in a while I would see it. And mind you, normally janitorial staff comes and cleans my building. I think it's twice a week, if not 3 times a week. They basically come frequently throughout the week to clean the hallways, the elevators, everything, the doors, rails, all of that good stuff. And with that said, yeah, like I didn't always see it and I didn't really think much of it because I was literally here just to check my mail, see what's going on in my apartment, go back to my boyfriend's place. Nothing more thought of it. But over time, I started realizing once I started spending more time at my place, every time just about that I would go to the mailbox when there would be sales papers, if the janitorial staff, the janitors didn't come yet, there would pretty much always be sales papers on the floor. And so I was thinking to myself, like, I know that one of my neighbors are not being so ghetto that they're not throwing away their own junk mail. They're actually just letting it lay on the floor. Now, I've lived in Chicago. I've lived in the suburbs. I've lived in the worst neighborhood in Japan, Nishinariku. I have never in my life seen a Japanese person do something that ghetto. And don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those stupid weeboos like some of the people probably in my comments that worship Japan and is like, oh my God, Japanese people do something bad. But no, like this is just truly shocking to me, especially since like I don't live in a normal apartment. Like I live in a luxury apartment. I've said this a gazillion times. And I'm the only foreigner in my building. And I'm also probably the only single female in my building that isn't over the age of 30 or something too. So my rent is expensive, especially to be living alone. And so it really, if it's not bad enough that this person's doing that, the spot that it always happens to fall is directly under where I stand to get my mail because I'm on the 9th floor. So my mailbox is, one of the higher up boxes. Well, normally I wouldn't care too much except for this because the mail is generally directly underneath my mailbox. Yep, you guessed it. Guess who takes the blame for it more than likely? Me. So this is my thing, like nobody's come to me to like directly complain and be like, hey, like, throw away your mail. But I can tell that like people are watching me when I go to my mailbox now. And there's not always someone there, but especially when the janitors are there, like there's two different people that I see clean. So whenever the female janitor is cleaning, she literally doesn't speak to me. She stops what she's doing and she watches me and like waits for me to get my mail and leave to make sure I'm not the one doing it. And I think in her mind, she probably thinks that I'm just not doing it while she's there. Whereas the male janitor, he didn't used to speak to me, but recently he, just started saying good morning. And then he randomly asked me where I was from just this past weekend. And I didn't think anything of it. I'm thinking, just making small talk, whatever. And so mind you, we're talking in Japanese. So I tell him. And then he tells me about how perfect Japan is by telling me, yeah, Japan is so nice and clean, isn't it? And so I say in response, sometimes. And he doesn't say anything else. And I leave and I go, on my way, handle my business, run my errands. And so I instantly thought, and it dawned on me as I'm walking, I'm like, is he trying to like find a way to sneak his way into comfortably talking to me so that he can, finally ask me if I'm the hoodlum, the person that's been throwing their mail on the floor? And so this just makes me think back to like an old video that I made before, but I wanted to talk about this topic here on my channel. I really, really hate that anytime something bad happens, I'm used to this as a Black person, as a Black woman, but I feel like white people and other Asians, especially white people, they're not used to having to deal with these type of situations, and it will go right over their head. And in their mind, they're okay with it because they don't understand how it's problematic. But hopefully the people watching my channel understand what I'm getting at. Anytime that something goes wrong, it's always the foreign person. Like, it's so weird. Like, Japanese people, it doesn't even cross their mind that it could possibly be one of them. It always has to be. So take you back a little bit. Go to another story. My last job that I had, this was a little more understandable, but essentially same situation. Conveniently, after I started working there, which is why this one gets a little more of a pass, apparently someone started taking all of the my job was ghetto. Some stores do this too, but like instead of storing the toilet paper somewhere like in a closet, they literally just stored it in the bathroom behind the toilet. And so someone started taking all of the toilet paper and like tearing off all of the like paper that's wrapped around the toilet paper to keep it, clean or whatever. And yeah, someone, started doing that and leaving the toilet paper there. And so everybody was going around and asking about it. And then it got to the point where staff started coming up to me and explaining that, that I don't need, just directly, bluntly telling me that I don't need to take the paper off of the toilet paper and that it's not sanitary and to just leave it as it is. Like, not even asking me anymore, because they already asked me if I did it and I denied it. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, I'm grown. I work here. If I tell you that I didn't do something, don't school me and continue talking to me about it. I already said I didn't do it. It's just one thing if I was in denial and felt embarrassed the first time, but now you see it's an ongoing issue. So obviously it's not me, it's someone else, unless I'm just a true idiot. And so it turned out later on that it was one of my students that was doing it, but I wouldn't have known this because he was doing it before he came to my class. He was using the teacher's bathroom because his grandma, who would drop him off for school, would take him to the bathroom with her. And so she would let him go into a stall by himself. And so that's what was going on. And it took the assistant principal seeing it, and, the case finally got solved. And so, of course, the staff eventually apologized to me. One of them did, and admitted that she thought it was me because, I was new and, this randomly started happening. So, I laughed it off. I was like, oh, it's because I'm Black type thing. But when I think about it, it's like, no, like this really is inside of people's mind. And mind you, the staff member that apologized was actually Australian. The Japanese staff did not apologize. But that brings me to like a double issue. I think it's sad that both foreigners have adopted that mindset and that Japanese people have adopted that mindset too. That if anything is wrong, anything's bad, anything's dirty, anything's unclean, anytime something is loud, it has to be the fault of a foreigner. But they don't care or call out stuff when it's their own people. They don't even assume. It's instantly something bad happened, crime happened, something's dirty, something's stolen, something's missing. Where's the foreigner? It has to be them. Go find them. And it's not even like pinpointed, to a specific race. It's not just a Black thing. It's not just a white thing, not just an Asian thing, even though I can go into another detail on that too, on who gets blamed more, but that's another story. But it just really like aggravates me so much. So this video isn't going to be super, super long. I'm pretty much done, but I just really hate that because it's like, I can't prove my innocence because sadly I don't know which neighbor it is that's doing it. I'm never there when the person does it. I'm just always there to see the aftermath. And I've even thought before, to even, grab the mail and throw it away. But I know the one time I go to pick it up, somebody's going to catch me doing it and think that it was me that's been doing it all this time. So I've been avoiding doing that. And I almost want to just tell the janitors, like, I'm not the one throwing away the mail on the floor. But to be honest, one, they're not going to believe me. And two, I don't feel like I should have to explain myself. I'm spitting all over the place. I'm not a criminal. I'm not guilty. And because I didn't do anything wrong, I hate that I even have to think this way. Like, why do I have to try to justify my behavior? I'm going to check the mailbox like a normal person. I live here. And I'm paying for people to clean this building. But I'm not a jerk. I'm not trying to make their job more difficult. And the even stupider thing is, there's actually a camera right there. So there's literally no reason for them to not just look at the camera and see who's doing it. But of course, because it's just the janitorial staff that's, doing this, they don't have control over the cameras more than likely, and they're not going to bother to go back and complain to the management company because really it's giving them work to do. Because otherwise, when they come here, there's literally nothing but just, obviously regular dirt from us walking through the hallways and tracking dirt from outside. But nothing more than maybe some leaves or something gets on the floor inside this building, especially since it's being cleaned frequently throughout the week and never legitimately gets to be dirty. Although I really do wish they would consider using some, hand sanitizer wipes to clean our mailboxes and the little key thingy touch pad, because I know that never gets cleaned for God knows what reason. I don't even think they clean the elevator buttons here, but yeah, not gonna go into that. It makes me so frustrated, so angry, so upset that people don't consider the fact that, or even recognize the fact that Japanese people are capable of breaking rules, of being dirty, of lying, of stealing, of being inappropriate. And again, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to pretend like this country is, on the same level as the US. I most certainly do feel overall, Japan is cleaner. People are less likely to throw away trash and litter, and it's overall safer. I'm not going to deny these things. I'm not, trying to praise America and act like my country's perfect. But I just hate that people here are so brainwashed that both foreigners and Japanese people alike think they're not capable of doing any wrong. And then it's when you do suggest that maybe it was a Japanese person, people are just no, it couldn't have been. And then if it is someone, then they want to remind you that they're the exception to the rule, basically implying that it's not possible for them to do something wrong. So, and that's another story within itself too, how people feel if a Japanese person should do something wrong, just know that they're the only person. And this is off subject, but I find this to be a common argument that Japanese people make whenever I bring up the topic of, people saying and doing inappropriate things to women, if you know what I mean, or a guy talking to me inappropriately and harassing me. There'll always be a Japanese guy that'll comment or send me a message, and they'll apologize on behalf of their country. But then they'll also try to remind me that, oh, this is just online, or it's just this guy. Yeah, he's a weirdo. Japanese people are like this. They're not whatever. And I'm not saying that you have to, lie and bow down and be like, oh, yes, master, Japanese people are so horrible. I'm not asking them to do that. But just accept the fact that there are issues within your country. There are things that need to be worked on. You don't have to pretend like everything is perfect and you just had this one odd situation. I shared a post before about this guy that was stalking and following me, and I had to yell at him to get him off of me. And everybody was looking at me like I was crazy. I almost started crying. It embarrassed me. And when I talked about that, the Japanese people that commented and sent me messages, they were all like, oh, yeah, I'm really sorry. Please don't think everybody's bad. It's just these people. Normally Japanese people, blah, blah, blah. And it's normally Japanese people most certainly do not intervene. They most certainly do not help. They will let somebody stab you to death in front of them. They are not going to get involved. They don't care if it's just a verbal argument, if it's a physical argument, if it's something with weapons. They are not going to help you. They will sit back, laugh, look, and probably record before they will volunteer to help. And I talked about that in the video too, about how I remember one of my, first memories that I had dealing with that was being on the train in Tokyo. I'll never stop telling the story. I was leaving from Akihabara, actually. And I can't remember what train I was on because we had transferred, because we got lost trying to find this specific cosplay store with my friend. And back then I didn't speak a lick of Japanese, but even I knew that something wasn't right about what was going on. I could clearly see that the guys across from me were talking about me, but I didn't know what they were saying. And so when I asked my friend, she didn't tell me on the train, but she told me when we got off the train. When I asked her, what were those guys saying? Were they talking about me? And she was shocked that I, understood, and I didn't understood. I just knew I had a feeling. And so she had told me that they were, complaining about my outfit, which my outfit wasn't inappropriate, might add, and I've definitely seen worse. But they were openly talking about me on the train. And not a single soul, it was a quiet train, not a single soul, not one person corrected them and said, hey, stop. Not one person told me what they were saying. Not one person defended me. Not one person stood up for me. Not one person told those guys to, be quiet or to stop, harassing me, bullying me. Nope, nope, nope. Everybody minded their own business. You saw some people kind of look around, glance, look back at me, but nothing. No one said anything. Now, how much you want to bet? You let an Asian girl get on the train in Chicago and somebody say something racist about her, talk about, how she smells like tuna, or, about, Asians eating cats. And you best believe there's going to be 5 black guys and 10 white guys going to come to her defense and be like, hey, don't do that. I like anime. Not all Asians eat cats. And you're going to have somebody go super, super defensive on their behalf. What, a black person? Nope. You can get on the train. Somebody could talk about you being dirty, looking like an ape monkey, whatever. Nobody care. White person can be on the train. People can, show that they need deodorant and make faces and everything. People will laugh, if anything, but nobody's going to chime in and be like, hey, stop, don't do it. That's not funny. Or what's wrong with you? Confront them. There's going to be those one-off stories. I know some weeb is going to come in the comments and be like, well, actually, I had a Japanese person, clap, clap, good for you. One person out of how many people? Okay. How many times did this happen? Okay. And so the other thing that I have an issue with is I hate that it has to be a matter of, how can I say, people trying to help you only when it benefits them. For example, if you are viewed as being attractive, obviously help is easier for you to get than someone who's not. I can even admit for myself that I see privilege with myself. I've definitely been lost several times and clearly turning around, not knowing what I'm doing. And I've had Japanese people come up to me and offer to help me, clearly trying to talk to me and flirt with me, which that's always how it ended. Whereas I've had friends that were not necessarily all that attractive, both men and women, who have gotten lost and they just had to help themselves unless they, willing to directly ask someone that was kind enough to help them. So there's things like that, but I'm done with this. It just really irritates me. So I'm getting off subject. I'm just kind of torn between what I want to do. One part of me wants to tell the staff, look, it's not me that's doing that. So don't be looking for me. Don't come blaming me. Because I think the next step is going to be, they're probably going to put up a sign telling people not to do it or send me a letter, because they love to mail letters and put stuff in your mailbox to give warnings, etc. For example, they have up a sign now in the elevator and outside of it telling people not to smoke inside of, I don't think, was it inside of their place? They don't want you to smoke outside of the building, and they want you to be careful if you are smoking outside, because obviously when you're smoking, the smell can get on people's laundry and it can go, through their ventilation, etc. Our apartments are super close together. Thank God my neighbors do not smoke, at least not on their balcony, because that never happens. Because if that did, I would be getting full revenge. My music will stay blasted up against that wall. I will be banging that wall. I will have my vibrator up against that wall until 3 a.m. They will definitely they will definitely be feeling my wrath. I would not let that go. I'm petty like that. But we're not going there. I'm just saying, if that were me, I know that they'd make a much bigger deal about it. So apparently that situation must be another Japanese person. But regardless of the case, I just hate that when something does go bad, a rule is broken, it's you. And same thing goes for trash. I've had situations before, not at this place, thank God, but at previous places where people, weren't throwing away the trash properly. And once again, who do you think gets blamed for it? It must be me. And it gets even worse if the person that has trash eats at places that you eat at, if you get delivery food. Keep in mind that Japanese people don't order food that often, in comparison to Americans. Pizza is not super popular, and neither are, food delivery services what is it, DD and Uber and things like that. DoorDash is not a thing here, to my knowledge at least, but they have lots of other services here that recently kind of, excuse my chair, sprouted up over the past few years. So yeah, I've literally gone to the trash before where people eating at McDonald's and stuff. And of course, being an American, let's assume if there's McDonald's trash, it must be me, right? I'm the one that threw it away. And, they'll be like, oh, don't throw away, don't mix plastic trash or burnables, whatever. And they'll sometimes even send messages or letters, etc. in English. So that hasn't happened at this place. I'm just reminding you, not here, but at other places that I've stayed at. So I just really hate that, because once again, it's always assumed like if there's a problem, it must be whoever the foreign resident is. And one part of me, I could play devil's advocate. I could try to see it as an innocent thing. You're a foreigner, you don't know the rules, but the problem is that's a stereotype within itself. You're implying that it's not possible for me to have, sought knowledge and understood, learned, read about this, and been informed prior to moving in. I signed the same contract. I was given the same information, the same pamphlets explaining, the garbage, etc., that my neighbors were. I have a phone, I have a brain, I have friends, I work here, I'm in a relationship. There are people that can translate things for me, even if I cannot read and cannot understand them. And some things just require common sense. So don't get me wrong, I do know of plenty of foreigners that purposely, break rules just like anybody else. But I hate that you always have to prove that you're not like other people. And again, like I said, I feel like this is more complicated for white people than myself, because for me, this is the norm. I've had to do this in the US too. You always have to prove I'm not like those other Black people, and not to make it seem like, you're better than them per se, but because it's automatically assumed these things about you. Like, for example, just the way that I talk. People act amazed or surprised. Wow, you spoke, sentence I can actually understand. I don't need to use some sort of translation device because I'm not using, ebonics or whatever, like things like that. And so the assumption that you're going to have an attitude, or that you're going to be really mean, or that you're, going to be angry, this angry Black woman type, persona that's assumed and placed on you, the fact that you're not going to be educated. So you're always having to prove I'm not like this person. I'm educated. I'm this, I'm that. I'm not going to steal from you. I'm not going to hurt you. I don't have children. Like, I don't have, a divorce and 3 baby daddies type thing. Like, you always have to prove I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this. And it's like, what about me ever made you assume that I'm that, other than the fact that I have curly hair and my skin is Black? Like, what? So I'm done. I'm over it. I'm just really annoyed. I hate that I have to even think this far. And it goes into everyday stuff. Like, I think about situations that I shared before, like I said, about being on the train. And another example, and then I promise I'm done with this video. I remember being at a cafe and being in the bathroom, and I did need some time, but after I was done, I realized that, I realized this beforehand and afterwards, that there was a flooding problem. And I knew that there was a line because people tried knocking on the door to come in. And so I should have never done this, but I hated that my mindset was, oh my God, I have to fix the flooding problem because they're going to think it's me. And there was tissue on the floor. And so I went and got some paper towels, and did I clean up the tissue? I think I did. I tried to clean up everything as best as I could, and I made sure that I cleaned down the seat, everything. Because that's another thing. People walk into a bathroom after you and there's a dirty toilet seat, they assume it must be the foreigner. The floor is dirty, foreigner. Anything that's not clean, it's your fault. And it's so funny because Asians don't even wash their hands when they come out the bathroom here. But they're so quick to notice things like that. Like, if there's a hair on the sink, it's me. If there is a hair on the toilet, it's me. If somebody left shit stains on the wall, it was my fault. Piss on the floor, me. Everything, me. Tampon, me. Everything, all the time. And it's so funny because you can literally see it in these girls' faces. Like, they'll go out the bathroom and they'll just kind of look you up and down, or seem disgusted with you. I've had janitors get upset with me thinking that I was the one who left drink bottles and cans and stuff and stuff, the little tampon disposal thing. And it kills me so much because I'm like, dude, I literally went there because it was the first clean stall that I saw. I hate I even have to think this way. So when I go into a bathroom, I have to think, okay, do I go into the bathroom that's clean, or do I go find another one that doesn't have any trash in it yet? So that this way, if the janitor comes in while I'm in here, they're not going to think it's me. Because the janitors here are not like how they are in the U.S. In the U.S., they don't give a crap. They come in there, they do their 2 seconds of cleaning, and they out. Here in Japan, they be playing around, wasting time, using that dirty rag to clean everything from the toilet to the ceilings to the sink handles and everything. And then they'll be upset with you if you take too long to leave out of the bathroom. And on top of that, they'll also get upset if they go inside the stall after you and there's trash that shouldn't be there. And so I think to myself, I didn't do it. Do you know how many people have been to this bathroom since you last cleaned it? I don't even know who left this bottle here. I don't know if it was the girl before me or 10 people before. And sometimes there was nobody in the bathroom but you, at least during that time. So it really makes it seem like it's you that did it. And again, it's not like it's just in your mind. You literally have them look at you, give you that stank look, you dirty, heathen. I've literally had janitors Like, try it. Like, they do this a lot. If you take a long time inside the bathroom, I would know. I've had them knock on the door asking if I was okay. Never had that in the US. And mind you, this isn't a full bathroom where there's tons of stalls, so it's not like I'm taking up the one stall that's available. I've had people that have pretended like they were out of the bathroom so they could try to catch me doing something inappropriate or wrong or whatever. Like, male and female janitors have done this. They will wait outside of the bathroom, like just like in the middle part, like the hallway like area, and like stand there quietly so you think they're gone. And they think that'll get you to leave out the bathroom because maybe you don't want to leave out while the janitor's in there. Maybe you're hiding something. Maybe, you might have been smoking on a toilet seat or charging your phone, which I've definitely been charging my phone before. So, like, things like that. And for those of you who don't know, if the bathroom has a super toilet, if you're ever in trouble, you can unplug the toilet, do it quietly so nobody hears. Plug up, plug up your phone. I've done everything inside the bathroom before, sadly. I've even plugged up my flat iron before. If I was in a bathroom that didn't have a normal powder room area where you can plug it into the wall. But that's another story. We're not going to go there right now. But yeah, like, I hate little things like that because not only do they creepishly wait there for you like that, but they'll get upset too when they do see you. Like, they won't talk to you, but they like give you that like angry, like pissed off look. And then sometimes, like, they don't even announce themselves. Like, the male janitors, they'll just walk straight in sometimes. So we ain't finna get into that. That's a whole nother video within itself. I'm done. All I'm saying is I'm tired of having to be the fall guy, having to overthink everything. I have to clean up after people, for messes that I didn't make just to prove that I'm not dirty and to destroy that dumb stereotype that you shouldn't walk into a bathroom after me because I'm a dirty, filthy foreigner. And if there's trash on the floor, it must be from those dirty, filthy foreigners. Like, I live here. I've been here for years. I've been in several different cities. And even before going to Japan, I was never someone that littered. That's just not me. So I hate having to like prove that I'm not something and having to over explain myself and having to do things that other people don't have to do. So I'm always having to prove that I'm not like this. I'm not this way. Like, for example, I didn't mention this part, but the guys that got on me, that were talking about my outfit, that was the other issue. It was reinforcing stereotype that foreign women are easy and that they are sluts and dress slutty, whatever you want to call it. I did have on a mini dress, but I was wearing black opaque tights. I had on black boots, and I had on a long blue overcoat on top of that. No cleavage. The neckline was, just like this. My arms aren't out. You can't actually see my legs, nothing. And I'm sitting ladylike. And it was raining. And so I'm thinking, like, the fact that both of you, two grown men, possibly anywhere from 10 to 20 years older than me, you're ripping on me across from me. Reinforcing stereotype out loud in Japanese in front of other people on a quiet train car in Tokyo in the evening on a weekday night. I think it was a weekday night. It was so disrespectful, so rude, so hurtful. And it made it even worse that in their mind it's justified because, and they were right, I couldn't at the time, because I can't understand them. It's okay. And I've honestly like never seen anything like that in my life. And the thing that makes me so upset is if somebody were to do this to them in my country, people would lose their mind and would be on the person. And one would be understanding and defensive on their side. But here in Japan, I complain about this. Foreigners would be upset with me and be like, well, maybe you shouldn't have worn that dress. Okay, I've seen Japanese girls get on the train. I'll never forget one specific situation. I saw a group of people get in the train where all of the girls had on belly shirts. Nobody said anything. Their back is out. Their stomach is out. Nobody looked. Nobody spoke. Nobody cared. I get on the train, you see my collarbone, and people lose it. They're like, you have on no clothes. So I'm over it. I'm tired of it. I'm irritated. And I hate having to overthink everything. I hate having to overanalyze everything that I do. Are they going to think this about me? Are they going to think this was my fault? And then having to think, is it worth it to explain myself and say, hey, I didn't do it? Are they even going to believe me? So I'm done. We'll see what happens with the mail. Maybe they're going to send me a letter. Maybe they're going to make some sort of English announcement. Maybe one of my neighbors are going to finally have enough and, slide a letter under my door. Because I know it has to be irritating somebody. You would think that because they're paying this much money, you would want to make the building look nice. We already have the luxury of having, like, I don't know what you call it, like an outdoor trash room where we can just throw away our garbage any day of the week. We don't have to wait and, put out bags and cover it with a net, do all type of ghetto stuff. I don't even have to separate my garbage. You can throw everything away in the same bag. But I normally, do them a favor and I separate my trash anyway. But I just really hate that. And then, of course, in situations where you're not supposed to throw certain things away, like furniture, or in places where you can't throw away, plastic together, or metal items, etc., people will assume that it must be you that did it inappropriately. They'll assume that it's the foreigner in the building that didn't throw away, dispose of their trash properly. So I'm done. I'm going on and a rant with this, but I don't know. What would you honestly do? Do you think that I should let the janitors know, like, hey, it's not me? Should I send a message to the management? Nobody's directly complaining to me about the ad, but I can just feel that people think it's me, especially since, again, I'm the only foreigner in my entire building, and this apartment is expensive. So, again, it's kind of assumed, like, oh, like, I'm lowering the quality of, people's living here, etc. And I just hate that there's apparently someone here being that lazy. It's like, you can literally grab your mail. You're already on the first floor. Just walk literally like 7 feet outside, 7 feet from the mailbox to outside, and there's the trash right there. Just throw it away there. In fact, I do something even stupider. I take my junk mail to my room because I don't want to have to touch the nasty, garbage door, whatever thing. So, especially with Japanese people here, I tell you that they do not wash their hands. They dig in their nose, dig in their ears, everything. And combine that with touching a filthy garbage door, like, absolutely not. I want to wait until I either have on gloves or until, I'm ready to thoroughly wash my hands and not just spritz it with some hand sanitizer if I'm going to get my mail. So I'm done. Thank you for watching. My rant is over. Just let me know, what do you think in the comments below? Would you personally bother to say something? Would you leave it alone? And if you live in Japan, what has your experience been like? Have you ever been in a situation where you felt like people assumed something was your fault because you were the foreigner, that you were the one that broke the rules, you were the one that made something messy, dirty, broke something, etc.? Please feel free to share your story. I don't care what race you are. I like to hear it. So yeah, thank you for watching. As always, I'd appreciate it if you'd follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at Comic95. You can also add me on Snapchat, and I also have a Facebook page as well that you can like. The links for everything are down in the description. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.